What's going on, guys? In this video, I want to talk about why you should optimize your sales process before running ads. That way you don't end up wasting money and you can get a higher ROI on your ad spend. So if we look at the current situation right now, online ads are more expensive than they've ever been, and there's just way more competition online than there ever has been in the past. So simply running ads to get your name out there or to build brand awareness or whatever terms people use, it just doesn't really do anything. Not only does it not generate sales, a lot of times those ads don't even really do much for growing your social channels, like growing your following or anything like that. It's just so much more competitive, and you're going to end up spending more to just get very little in return. So I see this a lot with early stage business owners where they don't really clearly understand their own sales process for their business, and they don't really, they don't know how the step-by-step process works. They just kind of, if it's a service business, they're like, well, I have my number on my site and they can call me, or there's this contact form that no one ever uses, but they don't have this clear beginning and end process for their sales process. So when it comes to running ads, they aren't able to give each ad campaign a purpose. And so that's the thing, is every ad campaign you run needs to have a specific purpose of what you intend to do, because how else are you going to measure the effectiveness of your ads if you don't, if you're just like throwing up random ads and just hoping to get more sales, and you're looking at your sales and thinking, well, nothing's happening, but you don't have any kind of, clear purpose or clear track that gets them from here to here, gets them from the ad to making the purchase, it's going to be very difficult to be successful. So you want to have a clearly defined sales process, and your ads should be sending them into your sales process. So what do I mean by that? So what I mean is, if you look at the step-by-step process that someone has to take to go from being a stranger to being a customer, that is your sales process. So for an e-commerce business, which is the type of business that I work with most often these days, it's extremely simple. You probably, this is probably common sense to you, but it's people will show up to your website. Usually they will, or I should say their homepage usually, and then they will end up on a product page, and they will add their product to cart, and then they will do step 1 of the checkout process, and then step 2 of the checkout process, and then they're done. And if you're a service business, it could just be that they show up to your site and they schedule a call, and then you have the call, and maybe you give them a proposal afterwards, and then if they agree, they sign a contract, and then you start. So whatever your business is, you want to break down your sales process into those different steps. So that way you just understand what someone has to do, meaning you understand what your ads and what everything else you're doing for marketing and sales has to accomplish, or has to provoke these people, the steps for them to take to actually generate sales. And then now you want to look at where are the entry points into your sales process, because a lot of times one sales process can have multiple entry points where someone could enter in. And for example, going back to the e-commerce example or business type, when someone lands on your website, you're usually going to have a pop-up that maybe gives away a 10% off coupon or something like that. And that's one way that someone could opt into your sales process, and now they're in your email list, and now you can do further marketing to them. But that's not the only place that they could get in. So they could also just go complete a purchase, and now they've opted in, right? And of course, they completed the whole purchase, so nothing to really learn from that. But another way is through your abandoned checkout flow. So if someone goes through step 1 of the checkout process, where they've given you their name and their email, and then they make it to the part where they start, choosing the shipping options and everything, and they just, stop and they don't move forward. So they haven't actually completed their purchase yet, but by giving you their email address, they have already opted in. So now they have entered your sales process, but rather than entering your sales process at the very, very beginning with that pop-up that just has a 10% off coupon, now they've entered your sales process at the very, very end. They're literally one step away. And so what you want to have is, once you break down your sales process, the step-by-step, the steps they have to take, what that step-by-step process looks like, where your entry points are, and I would say those are definitely the high priorities. Now you want to add in automated follow-up in between every single one of those steps. And the first places I would start are those entry points. So making sure you're following up with people immediately after they enter your sales process. So that initial welcome series and the abandoned checkout flow are going to be two of the highest priorities. In fact, those are the two I would definitely prioritize. If you don't have them, get them in place immediately, because you're going to instantly be getting more sales from the traffic that you're already generating. And businesses tend to spend the most time, money, and energy generating the top of funnel traffic to their site, which means you're getting way less of an ROI than you could be by not having follow-up after every single entry point into your sales process. And then one thing I also want to mention before I close out this video is I did mention, yeah, some people, they're not going to be the majority, but some people will just immediately go through and actually complete the purchase on their very first time landing on your site. And that's where you also want to have a great post-purchase flow set up, because even though you've already got the sale, what that's going to do is, for one, allow you to start delivering them a great customer experience, because that's going to lead them to want to buy from you more and want to recommend you to other people. But also later on in that flow, you can do cross-selling and upselling and things like that to get more repeat purchases. And the people who have already bought are the people who are most likely to buy again. So again, that is another high priority flow. Even though you've already gotten the sale, I would still prioritize that flow over a lot of the others that are more targeted to people who have never purchased before. So hopefully that answers the question of, why I'm so big on optimizing your sales process before running ads, because now once you've done this, you have this well-oiled machine that you can then send traffic to, and it's just optimized to convert way more sales than you would have if you were just sending people to your site and just hoping that they just do everything on their own and take all the right steps necessary without having any kind of nudging along the way.